Welcome, everybody, to another episode of My World with Stories. Today, I have a really special guest. She is someone that I actually go to school with, Miss Hailey Horne.
Hello, everyone.
I'm really excited to have you on today because I feel like there's so much that we're going to talk about, and it's so relatable, and it's the best. So, first off, how did you get started into dance? Because you're a dancer yourself.
I personally don't believe you can really make the decision if dance is for you or not until you have developed your own conscious and you can form your own opinion. So, realistically, I started dancing at age 4, but I didn't start seeing myself as a dancer until about age 12. That's really when I decided this is for me, this is what I want to do. I went to a small studio in Rhode Island and I love them so much. I was raised in a very positive environment, which I know is not the case for most dancers, so I got very lucky. And they just pushed me beyond my limits. They formed my confidence, they formed some of my personality, and by the time college came around, I actually wanted to come to Dean as a biology major because I had plans to go to dental school. And then behind my mom's back, I applied to be a dance major and I was going to go to one of the on-campus auditions but without her knowing on Easter weekend, but I actually got the flu. So I had to do a video audition and I got in, and fast forward about 2 years later, and I'm living my best life as a dance science major. So I can still go to dental school if I decide, but I'm just focusing on dance right now. So yeah, that's kind of how I got my start in the dance world. And thankfully, 12-year-old me had a dream, and I just continued to follow it.
Yeah, that is so cool. So did you always know that you wanted to go to Dean and pursue dance?
I would say yes. My one of my dance teachers back home is an alumni. Her name is Yasmin. She went to Dean as a dance and psychology major, and she would always talk so highly about the professors at Dean and the cute environment it is and how supportive everyone at Dean can be, which just sounded so amazing to me because again, I came from a very positive studio environment, so I really wanted to find that again when I went to the collegiate level. So she was the one who inspired me to apply to Dean. And when I was applying to colleges in the first place, my mom actually told me not to apply to Dean. She told me to wait. She wanted me to just apply to a few colleges at a time. So originally, as I mentioned before, I was going to be a biology major. So I only applied to Roger Williams and Johnson and Wales as a biology major. And then I was like, no, mom, I'm going to apply to Dean too. And there was no application fee. So I was like, Mom, there's no application fee. What can it do? What's it gonna hurt? It was definitely within my three picks because I only applied to those three colleges. And as soon as I got the "You've been accepted" email, I knew that I was gonna pick Dean.
Yeah. I was the same way. I toured only three other schools, and I was like, Dean, I was like, I want to go there because the communications program was very broad and stuff. And I was told to wait also. And then I got accepted and never looked back. So yeah.
Right? It's great. I love Dean. I think it's the perfect fit for me, and it's just such a great, again, the environment is just so supportive, and that's what I love so much about it.
100%. You're also getting your degree in science. So where did that come from? Was that something that you always wanted to do or just something that you were just interested in?
Dentistry has always been something that caught my eye. I think when I was 12-ish, I guess 12-year-old me just really had these goals and they just stuck. When I was 12, I was at a dentist appointment and I was getting a cavity filled. I know, crazy. Want to be a dentist and I get cavities. But they asked me to hold the suction because they ran out of hands, which
Mhm.
looking on that now is a little bit unprofessional, but whatever, we're fine. So I held on to the vacuum and it clicked in my head. Like, it's such a weird story, I know. It clicked in my head as I was holding that little suction vacuum at the dentist. Wow, this is the job for me. So I looked into it a little bit more, like
Yep.
logistic wise, what goes into it.
Uh-huh.
And then in high school, my high school offered this club called HOSA, which stands for Health Occupation Students of America, where you can compete in different medical competitions. So I think my first year I did health career study, which I did it on chiropractic. My
Oh,
second year I did medical innovation, where me and my friend made an app to help track your medications that you take and trigger like an alarm that notifies you when two medications won't mix. And then junior year, I did a health career display where I made a pen that can be controlled with a little joystick for people who might have fine motor disabilities. And then my senior year, I competed in a dental terminology clinical display. It was a mix of two competitions. It was new. And so I had to learn dentistry language, and then I also had to do a career visit, on-site visit with an orthodontist and learn about the job. So that was super fun. I ended up getting gold and I got to go compete at the international level. So, science and medical stuff has always been one of my main interests, and dance had always been on the side. And then when I got to college, it shifted. And now dance is my main focus, and that's kind of on the side. So, when I decided biology was not for me, because that's a really hard degree to get, and anyone who is in that right now, I have so much respect for you because I could not do it. It was so hard.
yeah.
But Dean offers this dance science program, and it's more targeted for people who want to do like physical therapy or athletic training,
Mhm.
or specifically for performing artists. But I was like, you know what? If I do this, I'm still gonna be looking into medical stuff, like getting my anatomy credits and getting my nutrition credits and all that stuff that you do need for dental school. But I also get to do dance. So I get the best of both worlds. I get to do medical stuff and dance. And then one day, whenever it is that I decide I'm ready to go to dental school, I'll be able to use those credits and go. So my ideal world would be after I graduate Dean, I get to go perform in the city and hopefully get some gigs there. And then maybe like 5 years from now, I'll be ready to do dental school.
Yeah. I always think that it's like so good to have like a plan B and like you could have like your main focus and then have something to fall back on. I just think that's like really cool. Like it's two things that you love. So,
Exactly.
yeah. So you've also had the opportunity to work in the dance industry. You've like taught at dance schools and stuff. So like what is that like choreographing and then like teaching like young kids or even maybe older? Like what is that like for you?
So for me, choreographing is such a battle. It's not my strong point. I need to definitely work on that skill. It's so hard. You fall into repetitiveness and you sometimes you just lose like the creativity process along the way. So it's definitely a bit of a challenge for me. But when
Mhm.
it comes to teaching, I love teaching technique. Like I just love focusing in on the little things that people tend to forget about, especially in the competition world. When it comes to little kids, I think that's more for finding how their body moves and becoming aware of their space because little kids are so like their brains are going a million miles a minute that they're not going to know the difference of what is turning out my foot. They're not going to understand that. So for me, teaching that age group is definitely like we're gonna dance around with ribbons and twirl them around and learn to not hit each other and be in each other's space. Then once it gets to about age 8, that's when I start focusing on technique. My favorite age is definitely the 8 to 10-year-olds because they have so much personality. They're
Yeah.
so cute, but they also, that is the age, like noticing is when they decide if dance is really what they want to do or not. So that's when the passion is ignited, and it's just so fun to watch. I really love teaching that age group. And then for the older girls, choreographing with them is so fun because I can experiment however much I want with them
Yeah.
and also push them to be harder and inspire them to go after that dream. Because I feel like for me, going after the goal of becoming a professional dancer when I was in high school seemed so unrealistic because you don't hear about that much. No one really talks about it. And for most professional dancers, once they get to that point where they're either dancing on Broadway, dancing as a backup dancer, dancing on TV and movies, they kind of skip over that whole part of how they got there, and it's more of like, well, I just put in the work. I put in all this effort, but it's like, how did you do that? And so I always try to talk to the older girls about like, hey, I'm in college right now, getting a dance degree. If you didn't even know that was a thing, because I didn't know that was a thing.
Mm.
This is basically what I do, and I'm working towards this, and it's just baby steps. And I feel like a lot of times that was just skipped over for me. So I'm kind of figuring it out as I go, and I want to be that mentor for older girls to see like it is realistic and you can do it.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, so good. So what do you love most like about like working like with other dancers? And it doesn't even have to be like teaching with them. It could even be like the people that you're, like associating with right now.
For me, I would say my favorite thing about working with other dancers is just the inspiration and pulling things from each other. Dance is such a collaborative art slash sport. I do think it's an art and a sport. I'm one of those people. It's so collaborative that you cannot make yourself a good dancer on your own. You have to have someone else with you. And so when I'm in class, I'm watching everyone else, seeing what they're doing, what's working for them, and I'm pulling. Oh, I like the way he did his leg. I like the way she added that flare in her arm. Like, how can I pull from that to add to my style of dancing? But also, at Dean specifically, there are so many opportunities for students to choreograph with other students and put them in their pieces. So I've had the honor of being in multiple Dean College students' pieces and just learning their technique and how they were brought up in training
Mhm.
and them teaching that to me has made me so much more versatile. Like, for example, we have some students who come from like more towards the West Coast, which that type of training is so different from what we have here on like the East Coast. And so to swap those two different styles, it just makes you so versatile and you just learn so much quicker when you are learning all these different little techniques and stuff like that. So I just love dancing with the other students at Dean because it makes me stronger. And I also just like feel so inspired by watching it. Like specifically one of my like friends on campus named Kate. She's the sweetest thing ever. I just love watching her dance because she just does it so effortlessly. And every time I'm doing like anything that's related to being like contemporary or lyrical, I'm always just like, okay, how can I dance like Kate on this? And it makes me so happy. I mean, every time I think about her, I just get so happy because she's such a bright light. And the way she dances, she carries that with her the whole time. And I strive to be like that.
I love Kate. She's so like so happy. I love it.
Hmm.
I also read on your resume that you have done party princesses. So
Oh, yes.
what does that like entail? Like what kind of princesses do you play?
My home studio, has a little side gig where they do parties
Oh, nice.
and they have mascots too, like Elmo and Bluey. I'm trying to think who else like is a cartoon character, but I can't. It's like out of my brain right now. But they have that. But then they also have princesses, which is what I tend to do because the mascots is a lot of work. But I'm usually friends with Anna, Elsa, Belle, and Ariel. And basically what that entails is getting all glamored up, popping a wig on, putting the pretty princess ball gown on, going to a party or event. I've done like a few like of the Tomorrow Fun strolls and I've done the Shriners banquet before. So sometimes it's not always a party. And you just go and you have fun with these kids. We sing, we dance, we answer questions that the kids might have about like what they've seen in the movie. Whenever I'm Anna, they are always asking about Sven. It's like the cutest thing ever. They're always asking what he's up to and where he is at. And then of course we have to take photos.
Right.
And what else do we do? I don't know. There's so much. It's all different because each kid is so. Some kids are really into the singing and dancing, and then others are like, I'd rather just talk with you. Like one time, I was at a party and the little girl just wanted to play with her tea set, and that's all we did the whole time was just play with her tea set. And it was honestly one of my favorite parties I've ever done because, sometimes the singing and dancing does get a little repetitive and you're like, I'm ready to try something new. So it's a great job. The kids get so happy and their faces just light up and it's like I don't know, the joys that kids get from like the simplest things is really just like it helps me focus on the little things in my life to bring me happiness. Because I'm like, if a little kid's whole week can be made by just seeing a princess, then what can I do to make my whole week be as magical as theirs was?
Yeah, that's amazing. And you've also done this past year at Dean, you did cabaret. So like going into like acting and stuff. So like what was that like, like stepping into something, like it's not like a choreographer's concert. It's not like one of those, it's literally you in a musical. Like what was that like?
So this is my first time ever doing a musical. I've never done anything like that before. I was so scared to audition because I've never sang in front of an audition panel before. I've never even like sang on stage. Oh my goodness, like I was so scared. But one of my friends was like, just go for it, do it with me. Like it's gonna be fun. We'll do this process together. And I was like, okay, I'm trusting you. Like, this is your whole entire major because she's a musical theater major. And
Right.
I was like, this is your whole thing. You are used to this. I'm not. So she helped me prepare my song. I sang Le Jazz Hot. And she showed me what to do, like gave me the ropes because it's so different from a dance audition. A dance audition, you just show up, you dance, and there's nothing else involved. Musical theater, you show up, you have to do like an introduction, you have to say what you're singing, talk to the accompanist, then talk to the board, and then sing, which is like so out of my comfort zone. But you
Yeah.
know what? I did it. And then I think like a week later, the cast came out and I saw that I was casted and I was just like shocked. I was like, what? Like crazy. Oh my goodness, I could talk about cabaret forever. So the director was the sweetest thing ever. And I was one of the only, if not the only, dance major who was casted in that show. And so I had no clue what I was doing. It was all so new, but the director really took me under her wing, and so did everyone else. That cast was amazing. They were the absolute sweetest cast to work with. And musicals are just so much work goes into them that you do not realize until you are doing it. Like we had rehearsal pretty much every single day, including on the weekends. And so many other things went into it. We had to work with a dialect coach because obviously this took place in Germany. And we had to do like acting drills, which was horrendous for me because I'm not good at acting. And what like obviously we have to sing. So we worked with the accompanist to go over our songs and everything. And just watching it all come together was so rewarding. Like the first time we ever did a full run through in this main stage was like magical. It was so just like I don't even know. It just I run out of words because it was such an amazing experience. Like, and I always talk about it to this day. I'm like, I just want to do cabaret again. I just want to find another run of cabaret. Like, honestly, if a national tour was ever done of cabaret, I would be content with just doing that for years and years and years. Because also, I think that musical is so important, especially with what's happening in our world right now. It's definitely changed how I view the world and my morals just by being one of the Kit Kat girls whose role isn't that significant, but I think it's a realistic role right now. Like the Kit Kat girl, I was Rosie. She's just there to have a good time and perform and dance. She's not worried about all the politics that was happening. And right now, I feel like so many of us are in that position. We are focusing on our degrees, our homework. We're focusing on what we're going to eat for dinner that night, what we have to do to get paid. We're not focusing on the politics that by the time it gets to a point where it's getting bad, it's too late. We're not going to realize. So I think doing cabaret has just opened my mind so much. And it's crazy to think that a musical was what was that push for me to open my eyes a bit more to what's happening in the world. And I'm so grateful I had that experience. And I think cabaret just, it needs to be brought back right now. Like, we need to do it all the time.
Yeah.
It was just such an amazing experience. Oh my goodness. It was scary, but it was great. And I can't wait till I get another opportunity to do another musical because it was so rewarding.
Hmm. Oh my gosh, like that. See, like I walked in and I've heard of cabaret before, but I never like seen it. And watching it, like it was like it wasn't gonna stop. Like every line, every song, every dance, like it kept going. And I I loved it. And you were incredible. I was like, was that
Mm.
Haley, like the only dancer up there? Like, and you're like representing like many other dancers up there at the school. That was
And
really
I'm so happy too because a lot of my dancer friends were inspired to audition for the prom, which is happening this spring, which I unfortunately am not able to do. Sadness, but that's okay. And they got in and they're having a blast experiencing that. So I'm so happy that them seeing that a dancer being in cabaret was like, you know what? If she can do it, so can I. And here they
oh,
are. They're doing the prom. I cannot wait to see them. I know they're gonna kill it.
yeah. Oh, so good. So you are also a pageant girl.
Yes, I am.
So you were kind of talking about it the other night at a meeting. Um but you started doing them like really, really young. So like how did you first like get involved in it? And maybe can you even explain like what your role is now with doing them?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So I actually first got involved in pageants when I was little, probably whenever I was in second grade. So however old you are in second grade. And it's because my studio owner was doing like a centennial pageant, which is basically it happens every 25 years. And I forget exactly what it's called, but she was like, you should do it. So my mom signed me up and I did it. And it was so much fun. And I met this girl who I'm still friends with to this day, who's a little bit older than me. And she was like pageant girl from like childhood up until like teenage years. Like it was what she did. It was her hobby. And so she was talking with me. She was like, I do these pageants called the Cinderella pageants, and I think you should talk to your mom about doing them. And so I asked my mom about it, and my mom reached out to her parent and was like, so what does this entail? So I started out doing Cinderella pageants, which was a really small organization, and they had talent, a tiny little interview, and evening wear, which is, I feel like, the most notable one because when you think of pageants, you think of dresses and walking around on stage. And I always had so much fun doing those because you made so many friends, so many connections there. It was just a fun environment, nothing like what Toddlers and Tiaras portrays.
Oh yeah.
And so then I stopped doing them for a little bit and I became old enough to compete in the teen category. And so I started out doing Miss Rhode Island Teen USA, which was a completely different ballgame than the Cinderella pageants I was doing at like 8 years old. My first year, I won overall best interview, which was a huge accomplishment for me because it was something that I never really had that much experience with. Because Cinderella's version of an interview was pulling all the contestants on stage and going down a line and asking them like what their favorite color was. So to have a full-blown interview talking about what my morals are, my goals are, why I want to be the next Miss Rhode Island Teen USA was something I was not used to. So I was absolutely shocked. And then flash forward to where I'm at now, I'm competing in the Miss America organization, and I'm currently in the Miss category. I competed for the first time in the Miss category last year, and I thought I was gonna get eaten alive because I was just 19 years old. I was a freshman in college, no job, like I thought I didn't stand a chance against these girls who were just like remarkable. Like they had so many accomplishments under their belt. But I ended up placing fourth runner up and I was so surprised. I shocked myself. I got a scholarship to use for tuition at Dean, which was super nice. And then I also got so many other opportunities. So I met Yemi Sakonke, who is the on the director's board of the Rhode Island Fashion Week. And I met her and she asked me to perform for Rhode Island Fashion Week, my talent, which was hula dancing, because I've been training in that since I was 5. And then I did that, and afterwards, someone came up to me, and her name is Monique Mode, and she asked me to go to New York Fashion Week. So I
Oh,
got to perform in New York Fashion Week, which I actually returned to New York Fashion Week last weekend. I did a fun little jazz routine, and then I ended up walking in it because one of the designers needed a model, and I was just stretching on the floor, and she asked me to model, and I said I'd love to. So that was a fun experience. And I've been working with the NAMI, National Association of Mental Illness, because of the Miss Rhode Island pageant. I've gotten the opportunity to work with different photographers. Just the opportunities just are endless. They keep coming in and in and in, and that's only at local title level. So
yeah.
this year I'm competing again. I'm representing Miss Situate, which is my town, Situate, Rhode Island. So I'm excited. I've been working so much with my CSI, Future Focused, and reaching out to a lot of mental health organizations and specifically ones that are geared towards people who have struggled with substance abuse. And already, again, I've just had so many opportunities because of the Miss Rhode Island organization. It's actually just, it's changed my life. And I encourage every girl out there, even if you have zero experience, just go for it because I promise you, you'll like, get so much reward from it and just learn so much about yourself. And also, the friendships are amazing. Like, I talk with those girls pretty much every single day that I've met at the Miss Rhode Island pageant last year.
That is incredible. So, how was New York? Did you love it? I'm assuming.
I loved it. I love New York City so much. Like some people I know are like, "Oh, New York, like why do you like it?" But I just think there's so much happening. It kind of brings like a calm to my brain because I feel like in my brain there's so much happening. I'm always thinking about a million thousand things that when I'm in an environment where there's so much happening, my brain kind of relaxes. I don't really know why. So if anyone knows why, please tell me. And it really is just like I like the city environment. I think cities are so pretty, minus like the trash in the alleyways, but like looking up, seeing all the big towers and everything, I just think are so beautiful and there's so many opportunities and there's so many people from different backgrounds that you just get to learn so much about the world and from different people's experiences. It's just like a it's like how I was saying, working with other dancers, you just feel inspired. Being in an environment where there's so many different people, you just feel inspired. And this past weekend at New York Fashion Week, I got to meet so many other models and talk to them and hear about how they got to where they are at currently. But the highlight of my trip was definitely going to the Museum of Broadway. That was so much fun. I got to learn a little bit about the history of Broadway, how it came to be what it is today. And then, of course, I had to take a photo in the cabaret setup. So I got to take a photo in that with my childhood stuffed animal because she was in my pocket the whole time because I was scared to leave her at the bag check-in. So she was also featured in the cabaret photo op.
I love that. I love New York City. It's so cool. Then there's so many opportunities there.
Yes.
Yeah. You are currently starting a new project, um, future focused.
Yes.
So what is that all about? You said earlier about substance abuse. So why is this so important that you're doing it right now?
So, future focused has always been something I've wanted to talk about, but I didn't know how. Because I feel like sometimes when you're talking about substance abuse, it's such a taboo topic that not a lot of people want to talk about it because it's like uncomfortable to think about. Even now talking about it, it's like I still feel a little bit uncomfortable because it's just how I've been conditioned, but that's why I want to talk about it, to break that stigma around it. So I started it because when I was 14, I had to watch firsthand my best friend fall into addiction with multiple different substances. And she ended up having to be admitted to a children's hospital where she got diagnosed with severe depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. which was heartbreaking to watch at such a young age. We were only 14 and she got diagnosed with all of that. And that all came down to her taking a substance that ended up being laced and triggering chemicals within her brain
Mhm.
to release all these chemicals that triggered early onset BPD, schizophrenia, and depression and anxiety, which studies are now showing that teenagers who are being diagnosed with that might not have ever been diagnosed with that if they hadn't been taking illicit substances. So I wanted to spread awareness on that because I feel like within the school districts, health classes do not do a sufficient enough of a job talking about the dangers of using drugs. They just say, don't use them, they're not good for you. But I feel like more teenagers need to know why they're not good for you. Because if I hadn't seen my friend go through that, I would have never known that that could have happened from just using she used these different drugs every single day. It was a part of her routine, which is unfortunate, but it's the truth.
Mhm.
And just one of the days she happened to get a bad one, and it triggered something she's gonna have to live with for the rest of her life. Which, mind you, again, this started when she was 14. And recently, within my school district, we just had a student who also experienced the same thing. He was using different substances. I believe for him it was he was using like smoking marijuana and then also using like acid and like LSD drugs.
Yeah.
And it caused the same reaction for him, which studies are also showing now that some of the marijuana that is being sold at dispensaries right now actually is so strong that it messes with the chemical imbalance and the hormones that are produced during puberty, but specifically for males, which I think is so interesting. So, for future focus, my goal is to help families understand the dangers of drugs beyond that it's going to damage your lungs and it's going to damage your brain. Like, yes, we know that, but what else is it going to do? Because clearly we're having more and more reports of teenagers that are using drugs, falling into addiction at a young age, diagnosed with multiple mental health disorders that they otherwise would not have had if they were not using these illicit substances. And more so, they don't have the support they need to overcome that addiction. Especially at that age, you're so vulnerable to be given all these substances and not know how to use them and not know what to do, that you just use and use and use and become addicted. And then they can't overcome this addiction because they're battling it by themselves, which is heartbreaking. And I think if more people were aware of what was happening, they would be more open to providing resources at school for students struggling, talking about the dangers, the side effects, of using these. And also, now that weed has been legalized, there's a lot more open access to it. However, like I just mentioned, now dispensaries are selling weed slash marijuana that is so strong it's messing with the chemical imbalances. So I'd love to meet with Rhode Island's State House to talk about why we need regulations on that. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to get that off the market because before it was legalized, people were still getting their hands on it. But if we can get it to a point where it's regulated, where it's low enough, and you can only buy it in a certain amount of bulks, maybe not as many people would be experiencing these harsh side effects that they are now experiencing now. So that's a little bit of why I've started Future Focus and why I'm so passionate about it, because I just watching two people that I love go through a heartbreaking experience is just it really does change you and change your perspective on everything.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like this is so important, like right now doing that. I feel like people they don't understand like they're using and they're not paying attention to what that can lie ahead in their future between their mental health and their physical health. Like people like our age do it today and like
Yep.
they're like, "Oh, um it's nothing." And then you look 20 years later and you see the effect that it had on them. So I think that's so important that you're doing that right now. And like you should also be very, very proud of yourself for going out and doing that. Because like takes a lot of guts to go and do that.
Yeah, especially like you said, it's like I always kind of feel like the odd one out because so many people our age, it's so normalized to do it. So when you're speaking out against it, you are like the odd one out. But, and like I said, though, it's just watching people go through that, it really does like remind you just how fragile life is and how one, one thing I always hear people say, oh, it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to me. But my friend thought the same thing and it happened to her. And all it took was
Thing.
one time that she hit something. I think when I think it ended up being a cart she was using. It was laced with something, and it was that this one hit from it, and it ruined her mental health, and she'll never be able to go back and undo that. And I just wish more people were aware of it's just one time. That's all it is. And if you're doing it every day, your chances of that happening are just increased.
Yeah, totally. But no, I think it's really important that like you're doing that, it's important.
It's very important. And another thing I love to share that I feel like kind of hits home is for 1 in 5 teenagers will have to battle with mental health illnesses due to an addiction. That's 1 in 5. And for my case, out of my five, two of them have already experienced that, which is terrifying because that is demonstrating that these numbers are just going to be shown to increase. So, I mean, think about 5 people that you truly love. You would never want to see them experience that. And I feel like that is very eye-opening for some people to talk out more about the dangers behind this, aside from you're damaging your lungs.
It's so important that we address this and stuff. So,
Yeah, like I said when I first started talking about this topic, is it's such an uncomfortable topic because no one wants to talk about the dangers that teens are facing right now. And I think also it comes from a place of fear for parents. They don't even want to think about their kids struggling that much. So it's such a uncomfortable topic that needs to be talked about to a point where students can become and more comfortable talking about if they're struggling
yeah,
and think they're not going to face judgment. They're going to be welcomed with open arms to get the support that they need. And I think if the stigma is gone, more people will be open to getting that help that they need.
yeah. And there's always like, if it's not your parent, that is like, if you don't think that they're going to support you in this, there's always someone else that's going to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
hmm
Where could people find more info on that project of yours?
So as of right now, you can stay up to date with it on my Miss Rhode Island organization account called Miss Situate Rhode Island. And right now, the top post is pinned with a whole bunch of information about Future Focus, which is pretty fun. So if you want to learn a little bit more and read about some statistics, head on over to that. And then my main account, I also post a lot of stuff on that about mental health and also a few other things I'm passionate about is Hailey with 3 Y's Horne. So I always am posting things I'm passionate about on those two platforms. And I'm always open to conversations and learning more about what I can do to get involved with more organizations to help make our world a more accepting place and a stronger community. So if anyone ever wants to chat about something they're passionate about, I'd love to hear about it and how I can help you and get involved. So please reach out if you ever want to chat about that.
Nice. So like what is like just as like yourself and it could include like future focus, but like what are your goals in your future? Like where do you see yourself in like the next couple years?
Within the next couple of years, so much. I am such a goal-oriented person. It's crazy. Growing up, my friends always called me Barbie because I was always the kid that wanted to be everything I could be. Like, I want to be this. And I still am so much that way. Within the next five couple years, I would love to be living in New York City. and auditioning like crazy to hopefully land gigs that I can get. After doing cabaret, I really do think Broadway is like where I would ultimately love to end up because again, it's just such an amazing environment. So hopefully I could get on Broadway. I would love to do Chicago. Obviously, if Cabaret comes back, would love to do Cabaret again. Another one of my dream roles is to be a Radio City Rockette. I've been training for that. Auditions are hopefully going to be announced soon. Last year they were in April, so I hope they're coming up again soon because that was such an amazing experience too.
Hmm.
I would love to become the next Miss Rhode Island because I want to use that platform to reach out to more people about my CSI Future Focused because the end goal for me is I'd love to turn it into a nonprofit that can give back to families who are struggling because a lot of the times too, these resources cost so much money that they can't even afford to get the help that they need. And I'd love to be able to provide families with some security by donating money to them or resources to them that they can use, but also to empower students that they can get overcome that. Like, because I feel like most of the time, too, a lot of kids, they feel like once they're already struggling with addiction, they don't see the way out. And I would love to make it a point where I can give them the resources they need and like the ultimate goal would be able to provide enough where they could have some sort of scholarship to even help with college because I'm going to use my friend for an example again. She got a really good scholarship and she's currently in college right now to become a psychiatric nurse, which is exactly the people who helped her. So she's turning that pain into power and I'd love to do that. So my ultimate goal is to make it a nonprofit. Hopefully that can get done within the next couple of years. And I feel like I'm on that path to make it achievable. And that's basically all. I mean, I just feel like I'm so goal oriented that new things just pop up for me every single day about what I want to do with my life. And that's the other thing. Before we finish, I want to add that in there. Sorry, this is bouncing around a lot.
Yeah,
But if you are someone who is dreaming and you want to do multiple things at once, do not let anyone tell you that it's unrealistic because it is so realistic. You can do as many things as possible. Here I am. I want to do medical stuff. I want to dance. I want to perform. I want to start a nonprofit and baby steps. That's all you have to remember is it's all baby steps. Right now I'm in college for both of those things and I'm starting small with my community service initiative and by doing those baby steps, it will all become possible. So do not let anyone tell you that you cannot do all of your dreams at once because you can make it happen. And I never want people to feel discouraged by that because I've had so many people try to tell me that my heads are in the clouds, but they're not. I'm right where I need to be.
totally. Oh my gosh. And that's like the perfect way to end this. Oh my gosh. You're incredible, Hailey. I'm so glad that we got to do this and that you shared all those amazing stories. It's very, very rewarding for me, and you're going to impress so many other people.
Thank you. I'm so happy we got to do
Thank you
this.
so much for listening and watching to My World with Stories podcast. Be sure to subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. To stay up to date, you can follow My World with Stories podcast on both Facebook and Instagram at My World with Stories podcast. Make sure to give this podcast a like for future episodes coming your way. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and we will see you guys next time.